New Greens leader Larissa Waters joins us now in the studio. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here with you both.
It's lovely to have you on the couch. How does this work? I've sort of always been curious. When you went into the meeting yesterday, did you know you were going to come out as the leader? Had it already been discussed?
Well, obviously, when you're putting your hand up for a job, you have a chat to your colleagues and see if you have their support. And so I did that, and I was really encouraged by the conversations that I had, and just really proud that I received the unanimous support of that team. We've got just a bunch of wonderful people. They're such strong advocates. They're all really hard workers, and they're all really passionate about protecting the planet and helping people. So it's a great honour to have been to have received their support, and here we are.
But you didn't have a vote, right? How did it work?
No, that's right. We called for nominations, and I nominated, and there were no other nominations, and there was a check to see that everyone was still happy with that outcome, and no one wasn't, and so they were.
Wow, it's like tick, there you go. How are the Greens going to be different under your leadership compared with what it was like under Adam Bandt? Is there going to be a bit of a change in direction, even a subtle one?
Well, look, I'm a different person to Adam, but I'm really proud, can I say, firstly, of the work that he did and his incredible team. And I'm really proud of our broad policy platform. We've always been there to try and protect nature, but to work to address the challenges that people are facing in their daily lives. So we won't change that. But I am a different person, and I bring a different style. I really want to get outcomes. I really want to work with the current government to try to improve people's lives and protect the planet. So we will be firm, because we actually think that the problems people are facing are so big, people deserve better than just tinkering, but we want to make sure that we can get some outcomes. Can
I just drill down into that? I think because Adam Bandt and Max Chandler-Mather were criticised by the Albanese government. They were labelled blockers through the campaign. They were labelled too aggressive. Are you effectively saying you're going to be more open to getting legislation quickly passed through the Senate, not making the perfect the enemy of the good, getting stuff done?
Well, look, we'll look at everything on its merits, but we are now in the sole balance of power in the Senate. So the government does have a choice. They can work with the coalition and, just keep the status quo and see inequality get worse, keep opening new coal mines and, see the planet just continue to burn. Or they can work with the Greens, and we want to see action to protect nature. We want to make sure that we can have free childcare, that we can put dental into Medicare, that we can have strong renewable energy targets and strong climate emissions reduction targets, just do things that will help people and protect the planet. So we've got that influential role. People have put us in that role, and they want outcomes. They want to be remembered that it's them that we're there for, and so we're here to serve.
Larissa, the party's been criticised a bit for potentially moving away from your roots. Now, you were an environmental lawyer, and you mentioned this morning you're talking about focusing on the planet. It felt like in the campaign there was a lot more noise about renters, about dental. Will the party return to those roots under your leadership?
Well, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We've always had a broad policy platform. I mean, we've always been about the planet. We're the Greens, the clue's in the name.
Because it didn't feel like it was number one in the recent campaign.
Look, we've always had a number of priorities. Climate and nature is at our core. And as an environmental lawyer, certainly that's what drove me to want to get into politics and try to help fix things. But we've got to make sure that people have their daily needs met. We're a wealthy country. We shouldn't have 1 in 6 kids living in poverty. We should make sure that everyone can get world-class education and the healthcare that they need whenever they need it, wherever they live. Those basic things are really important. But we can do all of that and protect nature and biodiversity and have good, strong, cheap, clean, renewable energy. We don't have to make choices there. We can have all of those things.
I was just looking at your press conference yesterday. You really stressed about getting stuff done. I won't use the word used, but getting things done. Do you think you're going to be able to do that better than Adam Bandt? Do you think your relationships with the government might be stronger in the Senate, things like that?
Look, I think the position of sole balance of power in the Senate certainly strengthens our hand, and so I have a good working relationship with many of the people in that chamber. I think that we've got the best recipe for delivering for the community and for protecting the planet, and that's thanks to the great support that people gave us with that strong Senate vote. And we've got a really strong team. Every single one of those team members is ready to work on those issues to help people, to help the planet. So I'm feeling like there's a real chance for reform. We could actually have politics with heart and a progressive parliament. We could actually really rise to the challenge that we're all facing collectively, and I would like the Parliament to do that.
Do you have a couple of things? Is it going to be Great Barrier Reef? Is it going to be salmon farming? Do you have a couple of things you would say now, these are my early priorities in this term of Parliament?
Look, my personal priorities have always been acting on the climate crisis and protecting biodiversity. That's why I was an environmental lawyer, so that's what drives me personally. And I'm a strong feminist, and gender equality and ending violence against women is something I've done a lot of work on over the years, and will continue to do so. But just making sure that everyone can have the things they need, and just have good healthcare, have good funded schools, and make sure that we're just a bit of a kinder and a less disunified and a less a community that's not struggling so much.
Will that equality, will those women's issues feature more prominently? Because I was surprised by all of the parties' campaigns that women's issues only featured right at the end. We're in a domestic violence crisis in Australia, yet we only heard about that towards the end of campaigns. Under your leadership, will there be more of a focus?
I would like the Parliament to focus on that, Catherine, and I've been working on that issue for a long time now, and I was really dismayed that it didn't get a look in until, as you say, the last week of the campaign, with what felt to me like some fairly tokenistic announcements. They were really small financial commitments, and it just felt like a bit of an afterthought. It's not an afterthought to ordinary people. It's not an afterthought to the all of the women, the vast legions of women who are facing violence. So I think we need to make sure that there's no women's refuge that doesn't have the funding that it needs to help everyone that needs help. We need to make sure that those women's legal services are fully funded. We've got to work on prevention. We've got to change the attitudes that's leading to this crisis, and that's a job for all of us, but government funding has a lot to do there.
Does Independent Senator Lydia Thorp have a future back in the Greens under your leadership? I'm sure you speak to her still a lot in the upper house. Could you bring her back into the fold?
Look, I'm not sure that's what Lydia's after. There was a bit of a media circus about that yesterday, and we all had a bit of a chuckle. Lydia's a really strong person, and I respect the work that she does, but I don't think there's any truth to the suggestion that she wants back in.
She hasn't approached you and said, hey, now there's a change in leadership.
She hasn't, and she's doing strong work in the way that she's doing it now.
Really quickly before we let you go, Larissa, the Liberals have a female leader. Now you're in charge. Is it time for Labour to look at that, if not in the PM role, even as deputy?
Oh, look, I'm not going to give free advice to the other parties. I'm here to focus on what the community needs and what the planet needs. I think it's great that we've got more women in Parliament. I think it's great that we've got more diversity in Parliament. We need a Parliament that looks like the community. Otherwise, we'll get decisions that don't relate to people's daily lives.
All right, Larissa Waters, thank you so much for coming in on the couch, and congratulations again on your election, and I think for the next 6 years as well in the Senate.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.